Domestic violence for law enforcement is one of the hardest and the most difficult calls we can go on. We're walking into an environment that is unknown. We don't know the relationship between the individuals inside the residence. We don't know the aspect of how many people are inside the residence. Not everyone gives the complete information when officers arrive on scene or to the dispatcher. We're walking into the true unknown. There's been many cases in our nation where all law enforcement officers have been killed on domestic violence calls for service. When a law enforcement officer first receives the calls for service at a location, a home, a residence, a business, anywhere, we are already mentally preparing ourselves for the unknown. We're thinking about the unknowns. What questions should I ask? What dangers am I walking into? How many individuals are at the location? Who's involved? Is there injuries? I need to start medical assistance for the victim or anybody there. Do I need to call for additional partners, additional resources? When it comes to arriving, we have to figure out really what is at hand. We have to try to gain control of the scene. And a lot of times it's just not that simple. You have individuals who are very agitated, very emotional. And to be honest with you, sometimes a lot of it deals with kids. And so the kids are traumatized because they see what the parents are going through and what they're doing. The arguing back and forth traumatizes the children. It puts a lot of stress on the scene itself. They teach us in the academy, it's the most dangerous call of service we can go on.
I think in my junior year of high school, he was stationed at Patrick Air Force Base. And of course, he was a young airman out there. We met at a little gathering. Ended up him taking me to my prom. When I finished high school, I had a scholarship at Bethune-Cookman, and I went there and a band scholarship. He was getting ready to go overseas. He had orders to go to Japan. So it ended up, we got married. My family, mostly cousins and aunts, they got the wedding out for me because they knew I was at school, and they decided to try to do everything for me, and even so, getting my wedding gown made. So they, like I said, they did mostly everything, and the wedding was at my church, but it was a military wedding that we had. He had to get ready to go to Japan. And of course, I went back to school, and so we didn't get to have a good honeymoon. So I went over in October, the following year, went to Japan, and went on a ship rather, and we left out of Fort Mason, California, and which I'd never been on a big ship before like that because they had service guys on there too. The ship was called the C.G. Martin, and it took about 2 weeks for us to get to Japan. And in the meantime, while traveling, the ship had to circle around a typhoon because we were going into that. So they had to kind of bypass that. But in the meantime, the waves were getting a little bit rough, and the ship was going over, and me and the families, we were down at the bottom deck, and trying to hold on to the pole. And when the ship went over, we would slide back over on the other side, and just going back and forth. It was really a scary deal. We got there on the 2nd of November to Japan, and we arrived in Yokohama, Japan. And then I met him there. He was there to meet me. So that was the beginning of my trip there in Japan. We were stationed at Tachikawa, and I was there for 2 years. Although my husband was there 3 years, but I stayed 2 years. My stay in Japan, like I said, was pretty busy. I kept myself busy in different organizations. And one thing we did, we joined the bowling leagues over there. And that was really so much fun. That's where I actually got started bowling. And while over there, my son was born, Gary. And but then we came back in May in 58. We were stationed back at Patrick, the same base. He got orders to go to Alaska, and that was another tour that we couldn't go on. He was there for about a year. As a matter of fact, he was there in '64 when they had that bad earthquake in Alaska, and he was on one of those islands, Shemya. So he came back, and that's when we got orders to come out here. They gave him George Air Force Base. Yeah, I will never forget that night. It seemed like it was just yesterday. And it was around 12. It was late, and we all had gone to bed. And so my doorbell rang because he was working that particular night, and went to the door, and his first sergeant was there, and I had him to come in. And then right at that moment, I just had a funny feeling, that something had happened. And he came in to say that he had some, sad news to tell me that um, my husband was shot, and I, I just went numb, and I couldn't, you know, seemed like everything just went out of me, and I said, well, what happened, and then he told me that he went to a call, he was shot, and he's over at the hospital, the base hospital. The chaplain was there also, came, to my house to tell me. And then I wanted to go over there to see him, but they thought it was best that I not go. And the chaplain said that it was best for me to remember the last time I saw him. And then in the meantime, my kids, they got up, and of course, it was just really, really hard for them. And at first, they didn't know really what was going on. And I had my dogs; they were barking, and so anyway, it just went from there. But I never did get to see him. He was. They felt like it wasn't a good thing for me to see. So I was looking forward to. He was looking forward to retiring the following year because he had just one more year to do, and he had gone to the Sheriff Academy School to, to prepare himself for being a marshal for the county, because he had gotten everything all straightened out. But he didn't make it. The hard thing was to be there for my kids, and but like I said, it's just hard to lose someone like that. And he was such a good father and a good provider, good husband. And we had plans, of what he wanted to do. And we had planned to stay there, stay here in Victorville. And of course, that's why I just decided to stay on here too. And then after I kind of pulled myself together, decided what I wanted to do then. And that's why I went on and finished all my classes and decided I wanted to just going to be a teacher and work in that line.
And these are one of our memorable moments that we had with our dad, that he loved Disneyland.
So Disneyland is very dear to us because it was
Yeah.
most likely our last,
Yeah,
you know,
last
family
that I can
outing
remember.
with the dad, and not realizing that
Yeah.
that was it. But I appreciate him being the type to wanna take pictures. He loved taking pictures,
Yeah, and I always
and
remember that.
so that has helped my memory.
Yeah.
But I just love this picture because it's a happy moment. I see my brother and my dad, and it's funny. A lot of people say they see our sons and our dad. So I think our dad will be so proud of his grandsons and granddaughters. So this is a happy moment.
Yeah.
And I have this picture up in my office. Gary felt that he was spoiled because he was the only boy.
Yeah.
So that he he loved his dad. That was his, that was his buddy. So when this happened, it changed him more
Yeah, I
than
think it was
anybody.
more traumatic for him.
Yeah, because he
being
could
the only
remember
son.
more. He could sense more. I mean, I was just in first or second grade, and he really, it was really something.
Yeah, it put a toll on him up until the day he passed away. It played a part of his life, not having my dad in his life as he was, as he grew up, becoming a man. It was just a part of him that was just missing in his life. So you could tell it made a difference in his life.
Right.
So. Also remember of her, my dad, when I was young, they were being avid bowlers.
The age in her 80s, and she's still an active bowler.
Yeah.
The progress that Mom made from, she was a housewife. Dad provided, and then she wanted to keep herself busy. She was always involved with our teachers in school, and then that's what inspired her to finish up and pursue her career in teaching. Giving her all the money in the world can't even show how much I appreciate her all these years.
Yeah.
And she's beautiful outside and just as beautiful inside.
It's really hard, but I managed to pull through. And I thank the Lord for bringing me through with everything.